Hi, I'm Claire Matthews and I'm joined today by Mr. QUAH Seng of Unilever. Seng, thank you for joining us. Can you tell me what you do at Unilever?
Basically, I'm from Unilever, Malaysia and Singapore, and basically senior brand manager that handles spreads and savory category.
So what are some of the brands that you manage and who is your ideal customer?
Currently, the brands that I'm handling, it's the brands that you know, which is Planta, Knorr, Skippy, Flora in Singapore, and the demographics actually depends on how relevant the brand will actually be to the consumers out there. I think that's one of the key criteria or the importance. Take for example Knorr. Obviously, when you look at a brand holistically, the main target consumers is basically housewives, and how relevant we create it to be, it's always tapping on the inside, saying that, all right, what should I cook tonight, for example, and therefore this is how we actually create, or how we actually specify, or how actually we target our demographics accordingly.
And how are these target customers using digital media, and in general, how are Malaysians using digital media?
If you talk about Malaysia, as Malaysian context, digital media would still be at its infancy stage, I would presume. And again, when we talk about the respective target audience or the specific target audience that I was talking about earlier, there are actually two sides to the coin. Well, we have the affluent ones who are digital savvy, and we have the less affluent or the rural ones who doesn't know the knick-knack of digital per se. I mean, in terms of mobile phones that they carry, doesn't even have not equipped with WAP facilities, for example.
And how about social media?
Well, when I talk about Facebook, Twitter and all, it's as simple as putting up a post, because it's all about consumer-generated information. I would say that, for example, in Facebook, I'll just say that Seng would like to buy a new car. What are your suggestions? So then you'll have your group of friends, a circle of friends who knows you, what type of profile you are. Are you the young professional, or you're just a chicken rice seller? For example, these are the cars that would suit you better. So like, for example, perhaps you're the urban going that who likes to go into the jungle, get an SUV or a 4x4. But maybe you like to be the hip and happening one, then just get a sports car. So these are the few things that, it does help engage consumers out there.
Unilever has this great tradition of launching really successful social media campaigns. For instance, Dove's Real Beauty campaign. How do you go about formulating a social media strategy when you're marketing a product?
Actually, it's no rocket science really. I think it's all about, number one, it's the relevance. Number two, it's the capability. Number three is obviously the infrastructure. So the way we actually tackle it is, number one, look at the relevance first. Then let's have a look at the infrastructure and the capability within the country scope, and you'll see how we actually can expand and expound from there.
Well, some of the speakers here at iMedia have been talking about the dialogue that social media enables between the consumers and the brands that they use. Now, how does a brand tap into that dialogue?
This are usually, we have to be on top of the game, because social media is something that it's out of bounds, out of control, if I were to put it in a perception, because it's all about user-generated content. And how actually we embark. I mean, traditionally, marketers will just put a little banner ad on the bottom and just say, hey, I'm now relevant. What they're talking, it's my brand is there. So what a lot of marketers tend to assume is that while they talk about, for example, a face wash, I'll just put a face wash ad at the bottom. So that's create the relevance. Oh, at least they're talking about face wash, then they might buy me. So that's always the question of might. And whereas in near future, or actually what we are embarking right now, is to tapping into, for example, let's look at the perspective of bloggers, because bloggers are usually the key opinion formers or the key opinion leaders in this perspective, where they say that this product is good, it's working for me, I believe it'll work for everybody, and there will be huge followers to say that, hey, it works for me too, blah blah blah. So these are actually a good PR, but it could actually turn upside down as a bad PR when this product causes pimples, for example, as opposed to whether it removes pimples, removes scars, or removes wrinkles. So the thing is that again, this is out of control. I'll put it, it's out of scope, out of control, whereby it's again user-generated content that will create a bad PR. So it's a risk that we actually have to look into, and something that we really need to put our foot in perpetually, almost every day, to see what's really going on in the market.
What do you think is the biggest myth about social media?
I always hear people say that social media or digital media will be the pinnacle of the next information technology or the next information provider. Well, there are two thoughts to it, and one of my thoughts is this, or the thoughts that I'm actually always persistently playing in my head is this. It would be the pinnacle of information, yes, no doubt about it, but at the end of the day, when consumers pick up the product, they'll still read the back of pack. For, hey, am I allergic to this? What are the information ingredients provided for? How is it being consumed? What are the nutritional facts of it, for example? So inevitably, people will come back to square one, that I need to see the hard facts on the product itself.
And what do you think will be the biggest topic of discussion at iMedia 2017?
I can see that in the next 5 years, the question they're going to ask is, how integrated are we? How does one media talk to another media? I think that's a biggest question that I would ask.
Well, thank you for your time, Seng, and thank you for watching.